Today we're diving into something we all do, but we rarely talk about. Now, I'm not talking about stealing extra packets of ketchup at a fast food restaurant. I'm talking about assumptions. Those little invisible threads that sew the fabric of our daily lives, decisions, and even our misunderstandings. Misunderstandings, the spice of life or the salt in your wounds. How often do you challenge your assumptions? Once a day? Once a week? Or are you thinking, what assumptions? I'm as open-minded as a parachute. In today's video, we're going to deep dive into the wonderful world of assumptions. We'll look at the type of assumptions we make, the circumstances in which we make those assumptions, and the domino effect that assumptions have on every aspect of our life. And because we are all about taking action in our life here, then we'll also be looking at exercises that you can practice so you can become a true assumption decoder. I'm assuming you're ready to dive in. Hey, my name is Greg. I'm a master coach and I help people, teams and organizations to know themselves, design their future self and become their future selves. I'm here to help you live a life where you have control. Let's take a moment to actually understand what these mysterious assumptions are. It's like reading the instruction manual before assembling IKEA furniture. I know it's much more fun without, but it's useful to use the manual. In simple terms, assumptions are the things we accept as true without concrete evidence. They're the mental shortcuts that help us navigate the jungle of life decisions without getting stuck with analysis paralysis. Now, where do all these assumptions come from? Well, they're a bit like plants. They need the right environment to grow. Our brains are designed to minimize the amount of energy that is being used for any thinking that we do or any activities that involve the brain. Which means using mental shortcuts because they do tend to use a lot less energy than the longer way around to think. And that can be conscious or subconscious. This has been covered by Daniel Kahneman in his book Thinking Fast and Slow. He explains that we have two main systems for thinking in our brain. We have a slow thinking system, that's system 2, and it's a system that we use when we want to deeply reflect on something. We're really spending time, you've got this crease there, basically saying, okay, I'm really thinking about this, I'm taking the time. When we're faced with a new situation, for instance. Then we have a fast system of thinking, that's system 1. And this system is for really instinctual type of decision, something that needs to happen very quickly. And this is the system of assumptions. It's assumptions that we have learned, or it's assumptions that have been hardwired in. And our past experiences are like the gardeners who are watering our assumptions. If you always had a great experience with dogs, you might think, hey, all dogs are friendly. That is until you meet a Chihuahua with anger issues. Your cultural background also plays a role. If you are from a place where punctuality is highly valued, you might see people late as a sign of disrespect. Or you can just see it as, just go with it like the Italians. Education and social conditioning are like the fertilizer for assumptions. If you grew up with learning that hard work is the key to success, then this will shape a lot of your life decisions. But let's take a quick exercise detour. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you aware of your assumptions? 1 being, what are assumptions? And 10 being, I examine myself and assumptions as much as I check my cell phone. Write it down, keep a trace. Let's dissect assumptions into manageable categories. I promise, no frogs have been armed to make this video. Let's start with the easiest ones. Explicit assumptions. These are the assumptions that we openly acknowledge. Think of them as a polite guest at a party who is actually RSVPing. They make themselves known. In a business meeting, for instance, an assumption might be that your new marketing campaign is going to increase your sales by about 10%. The team agrees this and proceeds with planning the work based on that assumption. Now here is a quick exercise for you. Jot down some explicit assumptions that you have with regards to a project that you're conducting. Go on, I can wait. Next up we have implicit assumptions. These are the assumptions that do not announce themselves. They're like the ninjas of the assumption world. Sneaky, but impactful. For instance, my partner assumed that I can read her mind. This isn't explicitly stated, but oh boy, does that really shape what she expects that I will do for her. Think of a recent disagreement or misunderstanding that you've had with someone. What were the implicit assumptions at play? Was someone assuming that the other could read minds? Last but not least, let's talk about the big kahunas. Fundamental assumptions. These are the deep-rooted beliefs that form the foundation of our worldview. Things like hard work always pays off or dogs are superior to cats. Okay, maybe the last one is just me. Fundamental assumptions shape our decision-making at a fundamental level. They're like the operating system of our life. They have become subconscious through our experiences in life, and they are anchored in our belief system. Think about one fundamental assumption that you've had for years. How has it impacted your decisions and your outlook? Write it down, along with any moment, any experience where this assumption has been whether validated or not. One assumption for me is that fundamentally people are good and they want to help each other. And I would say throughout my life, 95% of the time that has proven true. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do. Also subscribe and put the notifications on if you want to receive content like this every week. If you want to learn more about assumptions and some funny example about how they happen in life, check out the videos and links in the description. It's time to investigate the crime scenes where assumptions love to hang out. Yes, assumptions are the usual suspects in many circumstances of our daily life. First up, social interactions. Picture this, you are at a party and somebody is talking passionately about cryptocurrencies. You might assume that they're a tech-savvy investor or even a billionaire. Meanwhile, they might just be as broke as a college student who is really into Dogecoin. Either way, your assumptions colors how you are understanding a certain situation. You might be more interested, more attentive, or you might be planning to build your life as a crypto mogul. Next on the list is situation when you have incomplete information. You know, those times that you have to fill in the blanks. That happens all the time. Like reading a text message saying, "We need to talk," and you immediately feel that you're in trouble. Maybe they just want to share some good news. Or not. Thirdly, we have high stress situations. When you're under pressure, your brain switches to survival mode. Your prefrontal cortex shuts down, basically. It doesn't want to sift through a lot of options, it wants quick answers. It's like grabbing a burger when you're late. It might solve your immediate problem, but it's not really good for your long-term health. Last but not least, new experiences. When you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, then assumptions are like your GPS to guide you through a lot of those new things that you're discovering. It might be about a new job, a new country, a new restaurant. Assumptions act as your GPS. But like the GPS, they are not foolproof. They might lead you down a one-way street or even worse, a river. That is because an assumption of one situation doesn't mean that you can use it for another situation. So make sure that you always keep your assumptions updated and corresponding to the right situation, and validated for the right situation. Exercise time. Think about a recent circumstance where you made an assumption. Identify which category it falls under. And write it down. It's like collecting evidence. Make sure you write down, did it work? Didn't it work to help you? Now that we have unearthed where assumptions love to lurk, let's talk about their impact. Think about assumptions as a weather system. They can bring sunshine to your life, but occasionally they can flood your basement. Let's kick off with the brighter side and the positive impact. Assumptions can speed up decision making. If you ever caught a ball, then you know that assumptions have been important to guess the trajectory of the ball. It was very fast, subconscious, but that was an assumption. But imagine you would have to do physics calculation every time you want to catch a ball, you'd get a black eye. Think about a circumstance where an assumption you made turned out to be beneficial to you. Back in 2020, I made the assumption that people would go irrational on Bitcoin at some point over the next few years. And that's exactly what happened. Now, that's not an assumption that is necessarily valid all the time. Bad assumptions can lead to misunderstandings, to poor decisions, and missed opportunities. Like assuming that your friend will remember your birthday just because you remember theirs. And let's not forget about cognitive biases. Those are the first cousins of assumptions. Because your brain is trained to assume for most situations. Confirmation bias, for example, is when your brain pays attention and only remembers information that confirms what you already believe in. It's like having an echo chamber inside your head. There are many more cognitive biases that we have, and if you want to learn about the major ones and how they impact your life and how you can manage them, then check this out. As an exercise, recall an assumption that had a negative impact on you or that has reinforced a negative cognitive bias. Write it down and think about how would you challenge that assumption, how would you recognize it next time that it showed its head. Now let's talk reward, shall we? Because understanding your assumptions is not just a fun mental exercise. It comes with serious life improvement perks. Benefit number 1, improve communication. By being aware of your assumptions, you can communicate more effectively. This means less room for misunderstanding and more room for genuine, real connection. It's like turning a conversation from mud to eventually crystal clear waters. Secondly, better decision making. Awareness allows you to question the validity of your assumptions. So you're less likely to make rash decisions based on shaky foundations. Think of it as improving your mental home from a house of cards to a strong castle. Third on our list is enhanced problem solving. By acknowledging your assumptions, you open the door to alternative viewpoints. Suddenly, problems become puzzles with multiple solutions. You're not just stuck with a hammer, you have an entire toolbox. Last but not least, increased emotional intelligence. Being aware of your assumptions also makes you aware of your biases and triggers. It's like having an emotional firewall that alerts you before you download a virus into your relationships. Take a moment to visualize one area in your life that would benefit from knowing better your assumptions. Got it? Write it down and make sure that you spend time to unearth all the assumptions linked to that part of your life. Now, after this video, can you guess what is the one key element to master when we're dealing with assumptions? It's self-awareness. The most important step is to learn to understand when you're making assumptions in certain situations. You want to launch a product? What are your assumptions? You want to succeed for a project? What are your assumptions? You want to get married and live happily ever after? What are your assumptions? Then find ways to check your assumptions with increasing the level of information you have about them. But if you can't get enough data on that assumption, then realize that you're taking a risk. And as Master Yoda would say, do or do not. There's no try. I will leave you with a quote from Anaïs Nin, who is a French-born American diarist, essayist, novelist, and writer. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. If you know your assumptions, then you might be asking, but how do I actually change them? Then take a look at this video here about change mental models that will help you to just do that.